Audience members, please present yourselves. Thank you. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution says Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. To ban a book is unconstitutional, as it undermines the freedom of expression discussed in the Constitution. The Constitution also allows American citizens to learn about certain subjects or ideas so that we the people can form our own opinions and make our own judgments based on the subject matter presented to us. The American Library Association has said, restriction of free thought and free speech is the most dangerous of all subversions. It is the one un-American act that could most easily defeat us. The four most common reasons for why literature is challenged or banned are first being racial themes deemed unsuitable for a younger audience, religious themes, and political themes. The funny thing is that these four reasons are all based on opinion rather than on fact. Though they are all valid reasons to be angry, they should never be censored or ignored. In my opinion, rejecting or canceling something simply because you do not agree with it leads to ignorance rather than understanding. If we want to truly educate ourselves, we must look at the subject matter, in this case literature, through multiple conflicting perspectives to come to a greater understanding of the world and the individuals we interact with. Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird has been banned for racial themes, even though the whole point of this novel is to condemn racism. The usage of the N-word in this work of literature has challenged libraries to remove it and often succeeded in its removal, as this is a racist term that should never be used to describe a person of color. However, this book is set in the 1930s, which was a time of civil unrest between white and black Americans. So it is historically accurate for white characters in this novel to use offensive language towards black characters. Harper Lee wanted her novel to deconstruct racism, and in order to do that, Lee needed to write racist characters so that there could be actual racism to deconstruct. To ban this novel for its offensive language would be to ignore an ugly truth in our history. In this day and age, we read the N-word and we acknowledge that this is an offensive term. We read about the treatment of people of color in the 1930s in the United States and acknowledge that it was absolutely awful and that no one should ever be treated horribly based on the color of their skin. To Kill a Mockingbird is a historical record that provides an important perspective on an ugly side of history that should not be ignored, even if the language used makes us uncomfortable. I personally learned a lot about racism from this book, and it helped me gain a greater understanding of it rather than being ignorant on the subject. Stephen Chbosky's The Perks of Being a Wallflower has been removed from several school libraries across the country for complaints made by parents saying that this novel is unsuitable for younger audiences to read. This novel deals with subjects of drugs, alcohol, sex, suicide, and abuse. Many parents felt that if their children were to read about these things, they would be encouraged to participate in them. This novel explains sex, drugs, and violence in a way that is intended to give the reader a better understanding of the subjects. Several of the experiences that the characters had involving sex, drugs, and violence were negative experiences. This book does not necessarily encourage readers to take any part in these activities, but it educates them on the subjects so that young readers can have some kind of understanding of what these activities could get them into. This is one of my favorite books of all time. If anyone has the chance to read it, I think they should. There are also themes of love, friendship, and all the awkwardness of growing up in your adolescence. And I think those reasons greatly outweigh the reasons for why people think it should be banned. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series shows obvious themes of good and evil in the magic used by the witches and wizards. You can see that the evil characters, such as Voldemort, Umbridge, and Bellatrix, are horrible characters. Everyone that I have talked to has agreed with me on that. Evil behavior is not something to be encouraged. However, several religious groups consider the theme of dark magic to represent something satanic. I actually have a neighbor that will not let her children read Harry Potter because she doesn't want them getting evil ideas into their heads. C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia has several Christian themes, but one of the main ones is Aslan the lion, who represents a Christ-like figure. However, many Christians have argued to ban this book because they consider Aslan the lion to be a sacrilegious depiction of Christ as an animalistic figure. To want a story banned for religious beliefs is unconstitutional, as the First Amendment also gives us the freedom of religion. To ban a story for religious reasons takes that freedom away. Lastly, we have political themes for why books are banned. George Orwell's novel 1984 is a book that was banned for political ideas that were deemed dangerous. This is a novel that provides a perspective on the dangers of an all-powerful government, and many people saw it as something that would lead to a downfall in American ideals and values. They feared that people who would read it would want the government to be completely non-existent. Again, this is just one perspective of many. To ban it would lead to less options that American citizens would have to form their own opinions. Notice how, in cases where books are challenged or banned, it is almost always based on personal opinions and beliefs, rather than statistics and research. Even if a book is controversial or critical, it is still valuable knowledge that can lead to a greater understanding, rather than keep us ignorant. Someone else's standards should not take valuable knowledge away from any of us. Thank you for listening. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, why do you think, you said earlier in your thing that you think that if people are not able to read, these books or To Kill a Mockingbird or Harry Potter or whatever, it leads to ignorance? Can you kind of expound on that a little bit?
I would say anything that I consider ignorant is something that a person does not know. So say, I don't know anything about cooking really, I'm ignorant on that subject. I need to learn more about it. If people want to learn about the subjects of politics, they need to read political books on all political perspectives. Same goes for religion and other subjects. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, if you don't know something and you want to, then you're ignorant as of right now, but you can learn more.
All right.
Thank you.